The final problem, Unit 9, Pre-Calc B, test review. I thought there'd be 3 parts, but no way, Jose, there's a lot more than that. But here we go. Jesse is observing the tide while on vacation. He notices that the first high tide occurs at 3 a.m. And at a certain post, the height of the tide is measured at 51 inches. First low tide is at 7 a.m. and the same post, the tide was measuring at 23 inches. Write an equation to model the height of the tide. Now, just to get started, I don't think I did this originally, but I realized a nice little trick is to just show yourself a full day on a grid like this. Start at 12 a.m. and then just read the information and make the necessary adjustments. So you can see it starts at 3 a.m. and it's at 51 inches. So what I'm going to do is just go to 3 a.m. There's 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to make some random line up here and make that 51 inches. And then it says at 7 a.m. the same post, the tide was measuring 23 inches. So 7 a.m. would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. It measures 23. Again, I'm not worried about units or anything like that. I'm just kind of getting this thing going here. So at 3 a.m. we know the maximum height was right there, and at 7 a.m. we know the minimum height was right there. And as you can see, this may not be perfect, but it's going to start a little graph like this. Now it's only half of it, but I'm going to analyze this a little bit. From 3 to 7 is a total of 4 hours it took to go to high tide to low tide, which means to complete this cycle, I'm going to have to add another 4 just so I can visualize this repeating itself. And there's the old sinusoid. Now we have a choice of y equals sine of x, or we have y equals cosine of x, and because cosine of x essentially is like this, it's a lot easier to pick cosine because we look at that peak, which is right here, and we ask ourselves, how far did that slide over? Well, it went right 3. So we can already get started on this thing. And I'm just going to build pieces as we go. So we go A, cosine, I'm going to put a bracket in there, B, x minus c plus d, and just kind of put things in as we discover them. Well, we just discovered that the cosine curve, just by getting a good drawing, and remember, this is so helpful, just labeling your bottom drawing like this. We know that this portion is going to be x. Now, how do we make it go right 3? Minus 3. Now, we're going to kind of take a look at this. We can also see in this math problem that this is 4 hours and that this is 4 hours. So the total period of this wave is 8. So to find B, we're going to go ahead and use that formula. Period is equal to 2 pi all over the absolute value of B. I'm going to leave the absolute value part off. So now what we're going to do is just take what we know the period is, which is 8, and we're going to go ahead and solve for B. So we're going to multiply by B. We're going to multiply by B. So we get 8B equals 2 pi. Divide by 8, and we're going to get 2 pi all over 8. So B is pi over 4. So we can put that right there. The door is knocking. I got to answer it. I'll be right back. All right. So we know that. Now to find A, that's actually quite simple if we just kind of remember the basics. Normal amplitude is 1. And if we kind of remember, that's half of the whole width of it, if you want to think of it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little rando line trying to cut it in half and make some sense of this. Well, 51 minus 23 is 28. That means from here to here is 14, which means from here to here is also 14, which is telling me my amplitude is 14. So I'm going to kind of writing backwards here, but there's 14. And the last thing we have to do is figure out this darn thing D. Well, the real thing here is kind of thinking about this right here. This line, how high is this line? Well, originally we're going to count 23, and then we're going to continue up 14, which is 37. So that would be how far the cosine graph was bumped up. And we just found it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, finishes your Unit 9 review. Congrats. Good luck. See me if you have any questions. And if I made any mistakes.